Okay, so this is a video response to this video called Articulating a Vision Part 2, Imaginative Playfulness by Visa, and more specifically to the part of that starts around minute 14, where he talks about solutions to problems already having existed, like how already have been being invented, and also the part that I wanted to comment on the most, the part that says, in a small level, his vision is searching his social graph and finding interesting people and connecting them to each other and having them try to one-up each other. And I'm responding because when I watched that video on March 17th, I wrote in my notes app that I wanted to make kind of a video reply to it on the topics of friends and putting people together, etc. That's the title. And he tweeted this, his Friendly Dinner Tavern playlist, and it reminded me of all the video replies, so I tweeted that, and he said, do it. So here I am doing it. And I wanted to say that, I made that on the 17th, and today is 29th, so it's been 12 days. So I don't actually remember exactly why I wrote that in my Google Notes app. But I do think that I more or less know where I wanted, what was my visceral reaction to that video. And I wanted to, so this is not a conventional video response, but it's more of a visceral video response, what was my reaction to that video and what I think of it. So what I want to clarify first is that I agree with that attitude, and I think it's positive, and I would want to do it, but my visceral reaction to it, which is why I'm making the video, or what I thought of making the video, is what are my excuses for not doing it, or because if I agree with it but I'm not doing it, it must be because of something. So I wanted to first set that, and then maybe if you guys, anyone watching in the audience, or Visa himself, if he wants to give advice on it or give his thoughts, that will be very welcome. So why am I not doing it? If I think that searching your social graph, finding interesting people, connecting them to each other, and having them trying to one up each other and stuff is good, and it's one of the first things of a golden age, and I do agree with that. It's in a small level, if your vision is that, it's nice, it's something to aspire to, and I do think that that makes a lot of sense. And Visa talks about H.G. Wells and a lot of golden ages around time, in time, where I assume more or less that a climate similar to that one made that golden age happen. And I would think in my country's history, in Spain, in Spanish literature, there are two very famous generations, the generation 98, the generation of the year 98, so in 1898 more or less, it's called La Generación del 98. So those artists, writers, are clustered up in that time, and kind of communicated with each other and stuff like that. And several years later, 30 years later, in year 1927, La Generación del 27 clustered around that period, and they communicated with each other and stuff. And I think there are pictures of all of them together in a cafe. So it's a concept that makes a lot of sense to me. So it's why am I not doing it myself, right? If it's in my power and all of that. So I wanted to kind of explore that, not super in depth, but maybe try to arrive at least a couple of leads onto why I am not doing it. So what I thought was that in my friend groups in general, my I don't exactly know why, but maybe because I'm shy or because my family too is kind of that way. My friends, my different friend groups are like in clusters. So like my college friends don't really, I don't think, yeah, maybe they've met a couple times, but they don't really know my hometown friends, or yeah, or my family, for example. I don't hang out with my family and my friends at the same time, like stuff like that, right? And I that kind of sets you, I'm not sure it like sets you on a path, but like it gets you used to like having different barriers for several groups, and makes it harder to like get your brain on find connections between social graphs mode, right? Because if it's something that you can do naturally, it will, yeah, it's like you will become that person who puts people together, yeah, and that's good. But if it's something that's kind of not being cultivated and stuff like that, it will, it makes it harder to do so, yeah. And it's not like, for example, if I were now to set myself, yeah, to sit and to think what who amongst all the people I know could fit well with each other, like I it's like there's already the first barrier that comes to mind is these people would not fit with each other, because there's like this self-imposed barrier that I've already put in, which is like they don't fit together because I can't fit them together myself, you know. So yeah, that's like more or less like the first thing I thought of. And then the second thing I thought of was like, so why am I actually like this, right? And I don't know, I can't explore that, and I'm not going to like make a sociological study or whatever, but I do think that there's something like, yeah, that in my case it may come from like a family, because I know that a lot of people, or at least in my country, have like are like very connected to their families, and like from their family, it's like it's like their core place of, yeah, of like their social graph. It's like starts there and it expands a lot with from within there, you know. It's like if you know your dad knows this person and his friend, and your dad's friend then later on hires you as your first job, and in your first job that your dad kind of connected to, you know, there you made your wife there, and your wife's parents on the other side are like connected to, yeah, and so on. So people's network like work in that way, and in my case I think that didn't happen. uh, my parents kind of, well, I'm not going to go into it, but for a very big portion of time I didn't like know a lot of their friends, you know. So my parents friends were either my friends parents, you know. So it's like they met because they were taking me to school and they kind of connected or whatever. But no, I didn't know a lot of I didn't know a lot of like previous connections or anything. Unlike, for example, other friends that I have, their parents, they, well, those friends know friends of their parents, and like connections or people who were from back in the day or stuff like that. So I think like that's kind of like the second thing I wanted to comment on, and yeah, that's basically it. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, feel free to like reply like this, or just like write a comment on whatever.